This is Jean Amore with More Than Sports. I am here with a very special guest. I'm very excited to have Alex Molden on the show. Alex is a former Oregon and NFL cornerback. So, Alex, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So, let's just get right to the questions.
Okay, let's go.
You were recruited and committed and played for the University of Oregon. Talk to me a little bit about that process and how was it playing at one of the best colleges in the world?
Yeah, I love that. I love how you
I mean, I'm
phrase
from
that.
Eugene, so
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm from Colorado. I'm from Colorado, and at the time I was getting recruited heavily from University of Colorado, and that was back when they won a national championship in 1990. So
okay.
they were solid. And I grew up, you know, in Colorado. All I watched on TV was CU football. I watched
Hmm.
Notre Dame football, USC football, UCLA a little bit, and Michigan. That was
Hmm.
it. I didn't know about University of Oregon. And so when I first got my first letter from them, I was like, "Who? University of Oregon, the Ducks? What is who? Where is that? Where's Oregon?" Right. So, but how they recruited me, and really it was Coach Zumbukos, who was
Hmm.
he was an offensive line coach, but he had our region, and just how he recruited me and how he showed up, it really told me a lot about the character of the program.
Hmm.
And then once I started to look into them, and okay, they're in the Pac-10, so
Hmm.
that's they run a pro style offense instead of like what the Big Eight with Oklahoma, CU, and all Nebraska. They ran like everybody was running the ball and a wishbone.
Hmm.
So to be able to see like a pro style of conference, I was attracted to that. And then to look in and see the type of athletes they had, and it could I play early?
Hmm.
Everything started to kind of narrow down to Oregon.
Hmm. And who were the coaches then?
Head coach was Rich Brooks.
Hmm.
He was there for, I don't know, I think my junior year, which was his last year there. I think he was in his 17th year,
Yeah.
and um, and then when he left, Coach Mike Bellotti. My
Hmm.
senior year, he was the head coach. So
Okay.
so they had that. The one thing that I looked into was, man, they had that continuity. There wasn't coaches going in and out.
Hmm.
It was one coach, one coaching staff. They've been together forever. And yeah.
That's great. And you guys went to the Rose Bowl a couple years, is that correct? Or
Went
one
to
year?
went to the Rose Bowl my junior year, and actually, like my goal, along with a number of other of my classmates who came in with me, Ricky Whittle,
Hmm.
um, Danny O'Neill was a year ahead of me, but Christian McLemore, even Josh Wilcox. Well, we wanted to go to the Rose Bowl, where
Hmm.
before people didn't even think about the Rose Bowl. They just want to go to a bowl. And this was back in the day when it wasn't a whole bunch of bowl games. Like there
Hmm.
was a drought like before I got there that Oregon didn't go, they went to one bowl game in 20 years.
Wow.
And we want to change that. And we thought big. We want to go to the granddaddy of them all. And I
Hmm.
want to do it before, by my senior year. It just so happened we did it our junior year. So that was pretty. I'm honored to be on that team, to be called a leader on that team, and to see how we went. We started out 1-2. We started out 1-2,
Hmm.
and we had a meeting. A team meeting, no coaches,
Hmm.
and that meeting changed the course of not just that year, but I believe it changed the course of Oregon football history.
Hmm. And it's amazing when you get people like that together that have the same mindset and have the same goal and the same passion. And really, how, it's a testament to what can happen. like you said, it changed the course of Oregon football from that point
Absolutely.
forward. And so, it has to have that winning mindset. And, that was definitely a great class to come in and really change that atmosphere. And,
Yep.
the sky's the limit.
Yeah. When you get buy-in, and this
Hmm.
is, is one of the things I speak on,
Hmm.
as a speaker, in terms of team and what makes a great team. When you get buy-in from everyone and everybody puts their own selfish, their goals, I wouldn't say selfish, but what they want to achieve, if you put that all aside and do it as a unit, like if we all can put our, what we want on the side and we all stay laser focused on what the goal is as a team, all
Hmm.
that other stuff will come. And
Hmm.
the spotlight will be on the team, but then you'll get the spotlight as well.
Right. Now, I read on your website something that I wouldn't have expected, but I'm kind of curious to hear the details that you almost got kicked out of college. So I kind of want to hear this story.
Well, I mean, it's not a long story, but it was, it was my first shot at freedom.
Mhm. Yes.
My
Mhm.
first shot at freedom. I'm in college. I'm in the dorms. I'm redshirting, so there's not a whole bunch of stress on me. I just got to show up, go to class, go to practice, lift weights, and not having or maybe losing my path a little bit and not having that pressure. I lost
Mhm.
my focus, and when you lose that focus, school was, and I wasn't never like, I would go to school and I would try my hardest, but I wasn't like a natural in
Mhm.
school,
Right.
so things just wasn't sticking for me. And
Mhm.
when I got my GPA, my report card, and I was on academic probation. And if you hit, when I read it and my mom read it, so you get
Yeah.
one more semester like below this. I was like, you'll be, basically going back home. Oh my goodness. That was that
That's
was
a wake up
pressure.
call.
That was pressure, yeah. And with that pressure, and it's something that I think we all can attest to. When you have pressure, it's more focused. You
Mhm.
get more focused,
Mhm.
right? When you don't have that pressure, some of us, we tend to get a little bit lackadaisical or maybe even lazy. But when
Mhm.
you get that pressure, and people say pressure bust pipes or pressure, whatever makes diamonds or whatnot. Oh, it makes you focused. If
Mhm.
you if you have that type of mindset where you want to get better.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Um, Now you were taken number 11 in the first round pick, um, which not too many Ducks have really been taken in the first round. So, what was that like for you? What was that whole experience of, the draft, that whole draft process? What was that like for you?
Well, it's cliche, but it was a dream come true. It was something that when I first started playing football and when I found out that you can get a scholarship, and I
Mhm.
didn't know that, I started playing football in the eighth grade. And I didn't even know the word scholarship until right before my 10th grade year. And
Mhm.
so finding out about that and then understanding like you can play professionally, meaning you can get paid to play. I was like, oh wow, I thought it was just a game. And it still is a game, but
Mhm.
when I saw that, and then I was like, okay. And then on ESPN, you start to see the draft. And it wasn't like it is now, where everything like it's blown up. It's
Yes.
right next to the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
And so to see those guys like Emmett Smith, Deion Sanders, Barry Sanders, Steve Atwater, guys like that walk across the stage and they're starting their journey and the amount of joy that they had just
Mhm.
getting in. Now, let me tell you, it's an elite club. It's very elite, but
Mhm.
just to get in and then be selected at the elite level, that says a lot. It says a lot about you. It says a lot about your ability. But yeah, that was a dream come true. and that's just getting in.
Right. And you played 8 years in the NFL.
Yes, yeah,
So that's
8 years,
an accomplishment.
seven head coaches.
Wow. So who did you get drafted by?
The New Orleans Saints.
And how long did you play for them?
5 years. My contract was 5 years, and I got my 5 years, and they want to go another route, and the Chargers called the first day of free agency,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, good money, you know what I'm saying? Because your second contract is always going to be better than your first.
Mm-hmm.
And so good money, and you're in San Diego.
No brainer, right?
Yeah.
And so how long did you play for them?
I was there for 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 years.
And then what was the last team that you played for?
Last team I played for was the Detroit Lions.
Okay. And then you, because of injuries, were forced to retire.
Yeah. Typically, we get kicked out of the NFL.
Yeah.
There's only a handful that, truthfully, they retire on their own terms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I live my life by truth. And I know I was trying to get back in. I want to keep playing, even though the love had kind of faded away, because I saw towards the end of my career, I saw, some of the parts of being a professional athlete, some of the ugliness that comes along, some of the, the things at the front office or you as a player, because your skill level is going down, right? And your skill level is going down. You have younger guys coming in when their ability is up, but their knowledge isn't where yours is. And there are certain teams that value ability more than knowledge.
Right.
Right. And so it's just a reality in life, I think, in any career, So so I started, but I still wanted to play. I still was working out. But it's hard to work out. It's hard to stay focused and locked in when it's not certainty going out there,
And now, so let's talk about this, because as you said, NFL was always kind of a dream. Once you really realized, that was a possibility. So who was your favorite player to play with?
To play with, I would say, and he's a good friend of mine, man. We still chop it up, is Sammy Knight. So Sammy, he was a year younger than me. He's from USC, and we was together with the Saints for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And he played in the secondary. And, he was a guy who, we talked a lot. We spent a lot of time off the field together, hanging out and whatnot. And we still have a great relationship. We call, we text almost every Saturday because, he's USC. I'm Oregon. My son plays ball at Washington. So we constantly, actually we got a bet going on this weekend. Since my Ducks about to beat the brakes off the USC Trojans. But
tomorrow at
one
5
of my favorite players. Yeah. But Sammy's one of my favorite players because he was a free agent coming in, and he's a free agent. He didn't have great speed, hence that's why he was a free agent. But his knowledge of the game far surpassed his ability, and he ended up getting right place, right time. And a lot of the NFL is like that. There's only a handful, maybe about 2 to 3% of superstars that can be a superstar, whatever team they play on. Most of us, it's the right situation, right coach, right system to be able to flourish. But Sammy, he wasn't supposed to play 12 years. Right. He wasn't supposed to make it to the Pro Bowl, but he did, and he still stayed the same person.
Yeah, so, and that's what you like to see.
Absolutely.
Is that there's a lot of them out there that I've met, a lot of professional NFL players that are the real deal. That are just humble and you wouldn't necessarily know they're an NFL player just because of how humble they are. And those are the kind of people that you want your kids to look up to and kind of emulate after. So who was your favorite player to play against?
Oh, against, man. So that means most likely they were good. I like playing against terrible guys, I like playing against terrible receivers. Um, but I think one of the guys who really made me step up my game and really get like in a tunnel vision was a guy who I played against the most. I saw him the most out of my years because we played in the same division, even when I was with the Saints and then moved on to the Chargers. Well, he moved on from the Niners to the Raiders, and that's Jerry Rice.
Oh.
So he was just a professional, and I got a chance to work out with him before my rookie year. So when I signed with my agent, he took me down to the Bay Area, and I got a chance to train with him for 6 months straight.
Oh.
And it was just amazing. Like, he helped me, and he only said about 5 words to me in 6 months. But how he showed up and the type of character he showed when he was, doing his craft, working on his craft, it showed me how to be a professional. And not every guy, because we worked out with a bunch of professional athletes, with this organization that I was training with. But to see him do it and come out, he was never late. He always, was ready to work. It really if Jerry Rice can do it, he's the best. He's the best. Then why can't I, have that same mentality?
Yeah. So kind of leading by example.
Yeah. And truthfully, like, his ability and his character, his character within that environment. Because I didn't know what type of character he had at home or I didn't know that.
Right.
But it's just in that environment with training and working out and in football, like that's how if you want to play a long time and have a lot of success, that's the blueprint.
That's amazing. Now let's kind of talk about, like I said, you were kind of forced to retire early due to injuries. Tell me a little bit about how that was for you after that. Here you've played since 8th grade. I think I'm so big on not letting the sport you play become your identity, but I think that kind of becomes the case. You are known for the sport that you play. So tell me about how that was for you once you had to really quit the sport that you loved playing and that you really didn't want to have to quit.
Yeah. Well, great question. And I was one of those that, because the sacrifices, and I knew what character you needed to have to play at such an elite level, you had to really become that. Right? You had to really dive in. And it's the amount of time that you spend watching film, being coached, taking care of your body, all those things, along with some of the fruits of your labor in terms of, like, the money, the prestige, the fame, all that can if you don't know exactly who you are, because we get mixed up. What we do, and it's not just professional athletes or high or elite level athletes, but when you do something for long enough and you don't know exactly who you are, you think that what you do is who you are.
Right.
And that was me. And it was one of those things that once I stepped away, and we had money in the bank, house, car, loving it, loving life, I'm playing golf every day, but I was empty. I was empty because my passion is no longer there. I can't do it, And so I had to try to figure out, so I had to look in the mirror and ask myself a lot of questions about, man, okay, who am I? What do I want to do? How do I want to do I want to have impact? And I knew that I want to have impact. I want to impact people that were like me, that wanted to do something, right? That wanted to play a sport, that wanted to push themselves. And if they have the drive, I wanted to help them become the best athlete that they can be. So it took me a while to figure that out, but I started to do that. So I took all the training and you know, I had the background, right, of being being a professional athlete. So I should be a great trainer, a speed coach, or whatever. I was horrible. I was horrible. I feel bad. I apologize right now. I mean, any of my, you know, 12, 13 years ago, if I was training you to be a better football player or a better athlete, I apologize right now because I was horrible. And I didn't get better until I was coached. And I know how important having a coach is because it helped me go from a kid from Colorado Springs playing at 3A to be able to play 8 years in the NFL. I know how important coaching is. And so I took that, and one of my good friends, Henry Barrera, who was a performance trainer, he's younger than me, but how he broke things down to the building blocks, to foundational principles, it helped me. And I was like, wow, I'm sitting here, I'm got all these ladders out, I'm doing all these drills, but I'm not teaching. So you have to first be able to develop a skill set. So skill, then you put those skills into certain drills, and then you make it real. Well, it's the same thing in life. If you don't understand, if you're a leader, and we're all the leaders, I don't care if one person follows you, you're a leader. Even if it's yourself, you have to understand what leadership is. And leadership is influence, right? So how do you influence people, or how do you even get influence? I'm gonna tell you right now, when I was 22 years old, I was influenced by popularity. I was influenced of how your platform, or here's the thing, and this happens to a lot of with athletes. People follow athletes because of their ability. But now being a father, and I'm 47, one of the biggest things that influences me, and I want to influence my children, is character. All right, now the character, that's for me and my children. I want it to be, but just because you have great character doesn't mean that's going to influence others. So you have to have a base level, a foundational level of understanding of what leadership is. And if you can't explain it to an 8-year-old, you don't understand it.
Right. Now let's talk about your kids, because you have 8 of them.
Yes. My wife is crazy.
Yeah. Bless you both.
Yes.
So tell me their ages, and if you want to tell me their names, you can. If not, that's fine too. But
I'll just give you the ages. There's too many names.
Yes.
I'll give you the ages.
I mean, I kind of wanted to quiz you and see how good you were with them, but ages are fine.
I can do first names. It might take me a bit. Middle names I kind of get, but no, ages. It goes from our oldest is Isaiah. He's 24, and then it goes all the way down to Ezra. Ezra just turned 7. So
wow.
Yeah. So yeah. Every 2 to 3 years, all the way up to 24.
Are you guys done, or are you having more?
Oh, come on, man. Yes, my wife, she could keep going. Like today, if I said, "Babe, I'm gonna reverse my surgery," and she would be doing backflips.
Oh my goodness. So how do you keep their schedules all in order? I mean, so 7 to 24. So I know that you at least have 2 probably out of the house.
We do. We have 3. Well, actually, we have 3 because Elijah, he's up at UW. And Micah, he's the 18-year-old, soon to be 19.
Okay.
Yeah, he lives with the oldest one, Isaiah. So we have 5. We have 5 in the house.
Wow.
I don't do schedules. My wife, she's a superstar. She lets me know via text where people have to go, what games what games or what practices. So she lets me know. She has a calendar and whatnot, and I got to pay attention to that, especially during the summer. But yeah, she's in charge of all that.
So let's talk about your second one, Elijah. Like you said, he is up at UW,
Hmm.
one of Oregon's favorite rivals. Tell me a little bit about how that all went down and how obviously you're, I'm sure, very proud and excited that he's going on to college and play. But when UW kind of came into the picture, how is that for you?
I told him, I said, that's not the school for you. I said, man, I've been taking you to Oregon spring ball practices, spring game, regular season games. You know, we've been since he was little. You know,
Mm-hmm.
take him to the locker room and meeting the coaches, the equipment manager, all that type of stuff. And you know, when the time came, and they went to, or Washington wanted him to come up for a junior day visit. I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Man, you can go. I'm not going. I'm not going." So my wife was like, "Okay, I'll go. I'll take you." You know, and Elijah, he's smart. You know, he was offered by Stanford. He was
Wow.
accepted by Stanford. I want him to go to Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
people say, you know, he gonna be a duck. You know, his dad, but man, like I live my life.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I don't need anybody. I don't need anybody to wear another Molden jersey if they don't want to. Don't do anything because of me or your mom. You know,
Right.
do it
Mm-hmm.
because. And so, but I wanted him to go to Stanford because I understand, like I know, like with the Stanford degree can open doors
Right. Mm-hmm.
anywhere anywhere on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there. I've seen. You know, so but yeah, he was. So he came back and he was excited, and I was like, okay, all right, well. What you know? What's exciting about it? Well, it's just the coach. You know, Coach Peterson. I was like, Coach Peterson. I've known him since for 20 years. You know, I know what type of character he has. I know what type of coach he is, and how he
Mm-hmm.
can bring the best out of you, not just on the field, but
Mm-hmm.
also off the field. So I said, okay. I started listening, and then they invited us to a practice right before his senior year. We went up for a practice. We got a chance to watch it, and we got to see how the coaches communicated, the level attention to detail and the type of talent that they had. And then the type of, here's the biggest thing, the culture that they had.
Mm-hmm.
And when I took that to Oregon at that time, they didn't have it.
Right.
Now, this is Helfrich's like last year.
Mm-hmm.
So there was, you know, there was turmoil I knew was coming or
Mm-hmm.
it was there, but I knew there
Right.
was going to be a turn. That coach is not going to be there. So
Mm-hmm.
if you decide to go to Oregon, do it not based off of that coach.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It needs to be based off of, you know, whatever your principles are, but that coach is not going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, he made the best decision for him,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, he's taking advantage of it on and off the field with creating relationships, doing internships with different, you know, companies out there that he wants to, you know, he has some type of you know, he wants to learn more about. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I couldn't be more proud of him.
And he's excelling. You know, he's I've watched him in games and he does amazingly well. Great player, talked about a lot. You know, and the announcers and stuff. Does he want to play on? Is his dream to go on to the NFL?
Oh, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
right there. It's right there for him. He's gonna, um, you know, he'll get drafted. They're you know, talking mid to late first round or early second round, and
Wow.
that's just based off of, you know, his skill,
Mm-hmm.
not off his athleticism just yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you know, he's one of the smarter players. He's a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he's going to get prepped and ready for the combine. And I know what type of talent, what type of athleticism he has.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody else knows it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
people think that, oh, he's a 4'5" guy, and I was like, that's so funny. Were you with him when? Because the last time he got time for 4'5", he was with me in high school. So I know, you know, Washington, you know, the type of speed he has. He just doesn't
Mm-hmm.
get chance to really show it off because the position that he plays.
Right.
So, it's funny. Fans are fans. Fans are fanatics for a reason.
Isn't that the truth? Well, it'll be great to see him play on and kind of, it'll another Molden in the NFL. That'll be kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
So you coached, for Westland.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a little bit about how important that was for you to really give back to the youth, because you train as well. You do a lot of different things, and but what was that like to be able to really impart your knowledge and skill set into the youth?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. Selfishly, I did it because Elijah. Elijah was going on. He was a freshman, and our Isaiah, he was a senior, but he's a bigger guy. He plays defensive lineman. And I didn't, I know football, but I don't know how to coach D linemen. I know how important they are.
All right.
But when Elijah was going to be a freshman, my wife, basically, I looked at her, she looked at me, she was like, okay, you can coach. I was like, and so Coach Fanger at the time, I reached out to me. Well, actually, it's funny because I was in the stands when Isaiah was playing, like his junior year. I was in the snack shack. I was in a snack shack, selling because every parent, if you have a varsity player, some point in the season, you got to be in the snack shack. So I was in the snack shack, and Coach Finger came up and he said, "What are you doing here?" And I was, I sell snacks. I got to support them. He's like, "You should be down there helping me coach these guys." And I was like, "Oh, But once my wife, once she gave me the green light, and Elijah was going to be a freshman, and I knew he was going to play varsity. I knew he was going to start. So then they gave me a chance to, because I taught him, throughout growing up, but I want to continue that growth process. And then on top of that, I get the chance to influence and coach others, and not just talk about football, but I want to also impart, different things that what the game has taught me, how they can apply to their lives.
Right. Because it's so much more than football.
Oh yeah, so much more. It's not just X's and O's. It's like to live life. Man, that's a blueprint, especially when it comes to team. And you wanted to improve yourself. Well, what does it take? It takes practice. Just like being a great football player, you have to practice. You need to know yourself. You need to know your position. So I can go on and on about it.
So let's talk a little bit about, you have your hat on. You have your own podcast that you do called The Shark Effect. What's the premise behind that show? And how has that been for you?
Thank you, Gina. It's been phenomenal. It's something, if you had told me at the beginning of this year that I would have a podcast, I was, what? What are you talking about? I've only listened to a handful of podcasts. But my coach, my personal development coach, my leadership coach, he said, "Alex, I think you should do a podcast. I think you should have a podcast." And I said, I trust him. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna jump in. And so the Shark Effect is I get to uncover the qualities of high performers. And when I say high performers, it doesn't matter. I'm not just talking about athletes. I'm talking about business people. I'm talking about entrepreneurs. I'm talking about people authors, coaches, people who've done well and done it at a high level. And so I want to ask questions and get to the foundations of what made them successful. Was it relationships? Was it, did you luck up? What was the things that you did on a daily to have that type of success? And then break it down so that if I can boil all of it down, then I say, oh, that's the principle right there. That's the foundation. And then my listeners can take it and apply it to any area of their life.
Right.
And so it's helped me. I've had some phenomenal guests, and I get to hear their stories. And especially, I like to be able to hear how they overcome roadblocks, whether the mental roadblocks they put on themselves, or the different struggles, injuries, or whatever. What did they have to do to get past that and then rise to the occasion? We all have them. I know I have.
Which kind of leads me to my next question. What's one of the toughest obstacles you've had to overcome?
Oh, man. I think the biggest one was probably myself. And I want to say my ego. But there was a time when I stopped playing football, and I end up getting this part-time job just really to get out the house, and it was helping others. So I knew I wanted to help others. And as for its development, I was a development consultant. So my job was to raise money, write grants for this nonprofit, and talk to people, and you kind of use my celebrity down in San Diego to get the ball rolling. And so I did that for like 6 months, and I thought that I was pretty good. And when we moved up here to Portland back in 2006, and I was like, okay, I don't want to just sit around. I want to do something. So I'm still trying to figure out myself and who I am. And this job came up, and it was development, consultant, but this was a full-time job at this nonprofit. I was like, oh, perfect. I'm gonna kill it. So I got online, filled out paperwork, and got a job interview. Got there. I was, had a nice little, I was looking sweet. We got there and, started the interview. And this lady started asking me questions. And, she was asking me questions about their, about their company, their organization. And I was doing okay with that part. And then they started asking me questions about me. And I was stumped. Alex, why do you want this job? And I couldn't answer. I answered, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I said, I need to get out the house. She said, and I was like, what, did I just say that? Anyway, she said, Alex, I'm gonna give you a tip. I'm gonna give you a tip. She said, before you go on any more job interviews, you need to find out exactly who you are. She said, this job is not for you. I'm gonna walk you out. She got up, she walked me out to the door, and she said, good luck. Now, let me tell you something, Gina. I've been cut. I've been released from NFL teams. And once I was blindsided. I didn't see it coming. And it's embarrassing to walk when all the other players are walking to their meeting, and I'm walking past them, and I'm going to my locker. I got to bag up all my stuff and put it in a not even a backpack, not even a bag, in a plastic bag with security walking with me. And then they walk you out of the facility. I'd much rather do that 10 times than to ever have somebody tell me, who didn't even know me, you need to find out who you are. I walked to my car and I cried my eyes out. And I vowed that I'm going to find out who I am. And now I know who I am. I'm a person that I look to be inspired, and I look to inspire people every day. I want to help people. And it used to be, my passion was helping people become better athletes for their sports. But now I know that I can have more impact on helping people become better people. I can help people become better influencers as a
Mhm.
as a parent, right? As a
Right.
parent, as somebody in an organization, as
Mhm.
somebody in a leadership role, I know how to impact people and help them become more influential.
Mhm. That's good. Yeah, that cuts deep when somebody says something like that to you, and I think there's so many people out there that don't know who they are. And I was one of them before I started uh, doing what I'm doing now in the show. This isn't anything I get paid for. It's just a passion of mine, but finding that passion and being able to do it, it's definitely something that gives you that, um, gosh, I don't know the word, but that's what you're supposed to be doing. And
Passion and
so,
purpose.
yep,
Passion and
exactly.
purpose.
Exactly. So, last question. I know you got to get out of here, but what's your biggest piece of advice that you can give to others?
I think the biggest piece is understanding leadership and influence. And
Hmm.
like I said before, leadership, when you boil it down, is influence. And a lot of
Hmm.
people, they get it mixed up. They get leadership and they start tagging it with, you know, with how good of a person you are. You show up early, you stay late, you do this for your kids or whatnot. That doesn't mean that people are going to follow you.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean that um, people are going to buy in,
Hmm.
right? It's creating relationships,
Hmm.
right? It's that connection, and that's just one reason that
Hmm.
somebody might follow you. Another one
Hmm.
is like, man, how they make you feel. If I can
Hmm.
make my kids feel a certain way, I want them to feel strong. I want them to feel that they can overcome adversity. I don't want things given to them. They have to earn it. And then when they fall on their face, right? I want to give them the tools that they can lift themselves up.
Right. Hmm.
So, um, yeah, my biggest thing is to understand leadership. You
Yeah.
understand leadership, which is influence. And there's
Hmm.
certain ways how you can influence people. And it's different, right? We're
Hmm.
influenced differently at 16 years old.
Right.
My 16 and 14-year-old daughters are influenced differently than I am,
Hmm.
right? And
That's.
so I just ask questions. I know how to ask questions, Gina,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So then they can get their own insights instead of a teacher or somebody, giving wisdom. I ask
Mhm.
questions so they can figure out themselves and be like, oh, that. So in that environment, I can use those same things to get me out of sticky situations in this environment.
Hmm. Yeah, that's good. That's really good advice. Well, I will let you go because I know that you have other things to do. I could sit actually and listen to you talk all day. You're very wise in your words, and you are definitely an influencer. And I think that that's definitely an amazing quality. I love that you found something that you're passionate about and that you're good at. And that's amazing to me. So thank
Gina,
you.
thank you so much. I can talk with you all day too. I love being inspired, and you are definitely inspiring. And
Thank
I just once you figure out like who you are,
you.
the
Hmm.
world opens up,
Yeah.
and it's not just like what you do.
Hmm.
It's not what you
Yeah,
do.
that's true. Well, thank you so much. Again, this is Jean Amore with More Than Sports. Thanks for watching.